So good morning, everybody. I'm Rajany Pradhan, Special Correspondent with BW Businessworld. I'll be presiding over the session as the chair. So to begin with, I would first like to welcome all of you and our esteemed guests as we gather here today for what promises to be a thought-provoking panel discussion on the topic, the AI impact on traditional advertising. I guess all of us would agree that in the year 2023, the spotlight was on AI, and rightly so. So to start with, I would first like to ask you, Amit, how is AI transforming the overall advertising strategy for marketeers, since brands have already started using AI in their ads?
See, I think it's no wonder that, with AI, what we are able to do now is to bring in a lot more agility, because I think that's what people are expecting as a customer, right? I think gone are the days when, we used to have a gestation time of a week or two, to go back to a customer and, understand what he or she is looking at, right? Giving a small background of it, example, I was working for real estate for 10 long years, and in real estate, the hue and cry of lead generation is of the next level, And there were times when people used to get back to a customer after a week or so that, hey, listen, you put an inquiry, right? And the customer was very okay with that idea. Not today. If the customer doesn't get a response within a day or within like maybe a few hours, he's gone. It's over. The lead is over for you. So I think what AI has brought in, obviously, apart from a lot of personalization at scale, is the fact that a lot of agility has come in, I think. And that makes the entire conversation far more interesting and more meaningful. Because I think one size fits all is already over now, and AI is actually overhauling the entire marketing mix that we, kind of represent in many ways today. So that's it.
Good afternoon. So it's great to be here. I think a fraternity of BW events people is forming. We keep bumping into each other in multiple BW events, so it's nice to be here again. And great to bump into old friends like Suresh there, meeting him after so many years. So it's wonderful to be here. So I think when you're talking about impact on traditional advertising, the way I think where we are at, and I think where many of our peers in other organizations are as well, is that we are using AI today as a brainstorming tool. It's like a discussion partner. For example, we are not in a stage as yet where the final creative piece that consumers see is generated by AI. That is still generated by humans. Of course, there are intellectual property related challenges. And of course, I think the main issue is that decision making on purchasing a certain product is a complex, emotional as well as rational decision. Now, in order to create the right stimulus, I don't think artificial intelligence is there as yet. So we are using AI as a partner in the journey, which basically means you may start in the campaign development journey. You start with the problem. You pose that to a language model. Say that I have this brand which is operating in a category where there's this huge, highly loyal, a huge brand with a very loyal set of users. And what do I do? How do I start? Ask ChatGPT 4.5 Turbo or whatever that question, and you'll be surprised by the answers. Sometimes. So it may tell you that be a challenger. Develop a challenger mindset. It may tell you that think of a very sharp functional benefit and nail that home. So sometimes you will be astonished by the kind of advice that you get from a language model, and that then becomes this foundation for the campaign that you're going to develop. You can go on to ask that language model, okay, so what does a day in the life of a user of that category look like? And you can go on to ask them about what may be some of their aspirations and some of their fears and stuff. All this can trigger the creative process, can be strong triggers in the creative process. I think going forward, the next stage, as you start developing stimulus, these may be in the form of concept cards or visuals. You have to generate some images which kind of do justice to the campaign thought that you have. And again, image creation tools are things that help you create some prototypes, create some examples. And then later, as you get into storyboarding or whatever, you can use image to video tools, which help you create better quality and faster response times on stimulus creation. What we used to call animatics or narratics in the old days are far more realistic now and fast now. And what I'm finding as a consequence is that in the old days, when I think like 10, 15 years ago, once you commissioned, let's say, an ad film, very often when the final film was presented, there was happiness, very often there was rejection. That this is not what I expected, because in my mind or in everybody's mind, everybody has kind of directed that film, that ad film. And when it turns out, it doesn't turn out that way. But now I find that in most cases, you know exactly what you're getting, because the quality of the image prototypes, the video prototypes, you can add in voice into it. If you have a celebrity endorser, you can add in the voice of the celebrity endorser into it. So you have a much better idea of what exactly you're getting, and therefore the gap between what is finally delivered and what is what you had visualized is far smaller. And one last thing is that, like I said, human creativity is still what creates the final creative. Only the journey is enabled by generative AI, and that's where we stand as of now.
I think you rightly said, Vineeth, that it's just the process has got, I would say it has got faster. I mean, more accurate. But then in the end, yes, we need humans to kind of actually, make it possible. AI can only help us assist us in a much better way, and all of us are using it. Ashish, from there, we would go to you.
So I'll just add on to what Vineeth was saying. What the process that Vineeth described would, before AI, have taken maybe between 2 weeks to 2 months. With AI, you can do all of that in a day, and you can produce 5 potential options for ad films based on 25 different options of storyboarding and concept, and have that ready by end of the day to kind of go through. Earlier, you would have needed 5 to 10 people to do it. You can do it now with 1 person. So what the first impact is that it's made the whole process a lot faster, a lot more flexible, and it gives a lot more options for a client to kind of test out various approaches, etc. The other thing which you can also now do with an AI in terms of comes into the execution stage. So let's say earlier you would have had a single ad creative concept, a single messaging concept, a single ad film which you're going to use for your entire audience. Now, AI can help you kind of really do a deep dive into the data that you have, into your audiences, help you generate very, very specific segments of who you want to target, with what kind of messaging, and allow you to create very, very specific communication strategies, specific messages for each of those segments, and be able to then roll out those campaigns at scale for each of those segments at a fraction of the time and the cost that you would otherwise have spent for doing like a mass blast spray and pray kind of an approach earlier. So that's basically where it comes into the whole execution side as well.
Right. It has definitely made the whole process a lot faster, right? I mean, things that we used to take 3 to 4 days prior to AI, now it's just a matter of few hours for us. And all of us have experienced that. So from there, we'll go to the next question, that is, with the evolving nature of traditional advertising channels, how is your brand adapting to the strategies to embrace AI in both online and offline campaigns? And here, I would like to start with Ashish.
So let me kind of address the first part of this thing first. One is obviously you can have a much faster throughput. You can have a lot more options. You can also have a lot more control over tracking the progress of what you're doing, being able to see in real time how each of your campaigns is progressing, and be able to course correct a lot faster. You can identify what's working, what's not working, which campaigns, which audiences, which creatives, and it gives you a much stronger control over the process of your campaign, and control over your spending, the kind of CPLs you're having, the kind of costs that you're incurring. The other thing it also allows is control over potential issues, like for example, click frauds. So anything which kind of comes across as a clear anomaly in the process. Earlier may have taken a lot longer to catch, by which time you would already have spent a good chunk of your campaign spending. Now you can get it in real time and be actually able to respond and react to that. So again, a lot more control comes through over here.
Amit, what do you have to say?
See, I think as far as my category goes, which is about fast-moving electrical goods, the role of mass media is pretty high. So I'm sure that maybe you must have seen Syska ads on television, maybe with Irfan, or today maybe with Rajkumar Rao, etc. Because that's something which is like really required to ensure that you are visible to the end customer. Now, when you look at the AI side of it, I think it will work only when you have a digital footprint of the customer. Now, today, ask your own self this question that, when you go out and try to buy, say, a bulb or a fan or whatever, those kind of electrical products, are you going to leave behind your digital footprint organically? The answer is going to be obviously no. Nobody's bothered, So this whole concept of then AI goes for a toss because there is nothing that I can use to start engaging and interacting with you. And that's the core of AI, right? So for us, I think कहानी थोड़ी पीछे से शुरू होती है because the majority of the business is done in the offline space. So for us, it is very imperative to understand that as to which part of the country is actually looking at what kind of demand. So I think that's also a space where my AI tool helps me because the bouquet of products that I have as a brand today, right? It has more than 1,000 SKUs minimum, and it becomes like a big rigmarole to figure out कि क्या produce करना है, क्या logistics में डालना है और क्या store पे जाके place करना है. And that's how you need to approach because you don't want to get lost. It's the entire mumbo jumbo, right? So I think that's where the whole role of AI starts in the company. And obviously, as I spoke about the fact that I'm using a lot of mass media, right? So then how do I bring those people who are looking at my mass media back on the digital side of it? So I think a couple of things, I won't give the free plugins, obviously. So there are tools which actually help you to track if the person is, or rather was watching your content and it has, he has gone to a social media platform. So I can track that kind of, person. That's one. Secondly, we have started using a lot of neuro tags, basically, which comes with a set of QR codes because of the fact that when you go to a market, you don't even know कि ये सही माल है या नहीं है. I think that's the kind of question you wonder and ponder about. So I think that first layer of QR helps you to, first of all, verify the authenticity of the product. And again, with that, I get your digital footprints in return, right? Because it is a OTP verified process. Now, it's up to you, again, whether post verifying, whether you want to go and buy that product or not, but at least I have some details of yours, right? Second level of neurotag actually helps you to go and register your warranty with the brand. And that's like a foolproof sign that yes, Vineeth has bought my product, right? And maybe Ashish was trying to figure out whether he should buy or not my product. That's one. And the most easy mechanism to get some of those footprints is through consumer promotion. We do a lot of consumer promotion wherein we understand who has bought what from which part of the country, and that person has gone ahead with what kind of consumer promotion offer, because we are giving them so many options today, right? And all these things put together then gradually helps me to start my AI engine, even if like maybe at a great speed, but at a very moderate speed, which is something I know will make a lot of sense to me going ahead. So that's pretty much what we do in this space of FMEG.
So do you think you still rely on the traditional marketing system more than the AI or the other mode, like you mentioned, it's more of offline for you than online?
No, I think so you need to understand the nuances of the business, right? So when you look at LED as a business, nobody goes online today and says, oh, I want to buy LED today. Or, digital, space is full of transaction. I think like that's my, experience. If people are giving me amazing discounts, agar mujhe nahi bhi kharidna hai, I'll go and buy that thing, right? So I think even if I'm giving you 50% discount, you will not go and stash maybe 10 bulbs in your drawer because for you it's like a waste of money. अगर आज एक ज़ारा की टी शर्ट विच इज़ कॉस्टिंग यू $4,000, अगर वो एक साल बाद अगर निकलती है डिस्कवरी में आउट ऑफ योर वार्डरोब, you don't feel bad about it. But suddenly when that sorry bulb comes out of your drawer which is not beyond $100, you're like, किसने खरीदा मुझे बताओ. So I think these are the real dynamics of what we go through as a customer ourselves. मार्केट में बाद में हूँ, पहले तो मैं कस्टमर ही हूँ ना. So I think it's not that it's only about traditional तो करना ही है, but it's also about the fact that today the same bulb that I'm giving you at a cost of say maybe 100 rupees, which is not beyond on and off operations, there is another side of my story which is a smart bulb which comes to you for $1,000 minimum. Now this bulb actually gives you technically 16 million colors. Right, and for these kind of advanced products, there's a lot more action happening in the online space today. So I know who's exactly trying to search my product, who's considering my product, and who's actually buying my product, right? So I think it's just a matter of how you, as a player in the FMEG category, is trying to evolve very, very gradually, but very, very mindfully. सब कर रहे हैं इसलिए करना है. I don't think that's my way of working. I think you need to like really know what you're doing, why you're doing. So I think, as I said, it's a fair mix of online and offline, because at one side of it, I'm selling a bulb to an Uncle Ji persona, okay, and at the same time, I'm selling grooming solutions or mobile accessories to a younger audiences. So I think I need to ensure that there is a perfect balance or an optimal balance, if not perfect, right?
Yeah, I think balance is the word here. Vineeth?
On this traditional versus digital social media usage debate discussion, I think we are all products of the television mass media advertising era marketing style.
Right.
So we are like people are scared of spillovers, like spillover nahi hona. So the thought process has always been like HSM and some Marathi, some Bengali, South Indian languages, and you've been thinking pan-India, and you're thinking like 5% share for a new product category in the first X months or X years or whatever. But you're thinking pan-India, it's like a spread out, diffused kind of a model. But over the years, I think my thinking is now evolving to, and I feel that rather than trying to get a 5% share across the country or a 10% share across the country, it is better to sharp focus on specific centers where potential is higher and gun for a 20, 25, 30% market share there. And I think this shift in thinking has happened because now, especially for our relatively more upmarket products, like premium functional oils or ready-to-cook products in our portfolio, or some of the more premium basmati variants in our portfolio, we are actually now starting to think of, starting to deploy purely 100% digital social media plans with absolutely no traditional, and they're extremely focused on geographies with the highest potential. And we're also building a mechanism to kind of measure brand health or track the brand mind measures coming out of that. So what we do is today, Google tools and Meta tools give you the ability to do some kind of reasonably good unduplicated reach frequency planning at city level, which is across multiple platforms or solutions that they provide, like between Google and Meta. So you can, like, we are used to that BARC TAM time when you had like CPRP, GRP, reach frequency and all that, like sacrosanct numbers. But now you have you have pretty good integrated data on non-duplicated reach frequency delivered purely through digital, social, OTT, connected TV and all that. So if you choose purely these digital media, you still have a you still have very good planning tools available, and many of them are AI run, like they are things that are powered by AI. They are, of course, tools created by the media leaders in digital. And we are backing that up with mind measures collection. So traditional brand tracks measuring TOM and SPONT and awareness and usage and consideration and brand imagery scores, etc. So we are trying to measure, can pure digital social media-based brand creation, how we're trying to calibrate, what level of expenses media spends are required to build what level of awareness. And we have many markets where we're not doing both. We're just doing digital social. So I think that repository is building, and we've also had a few success stories. Of course, it's not purely marketing. There's also some point of purchase based or consumer promotion based supplementation of the marketing of the above the line stuff. But we've seen some fantastic results by sharp focusing. Markets that were at very low single digit shares with the conventional approach, diffused approach, have now jumped to like a market which is at 3% share has jumped to 15% share. Purely because we have sharp focused the inputs. So I think it really gives us a different way of looking at, of course it cannot suit all products. You have a extremely mass market offering with a substantial rural proportion of consumers, then maybe this approach doesn't work. But in more premium, affluent, upmarket consumer based driven categories, where the concentration of consumers in certain urban pockets, metros, is higher, then I think this kind of an approach is something that, that can work. So I think as we evolve, I'm seeing us going from looking at larger regions like the old television mass market, mass advertising model, to looking at pockets, clusters, and sharp focusing inputs and getting better business results in those specific pockets.
I guess the possibilities that exist for marketeers these days, it's immense. So I'm sure it has its challenges, and at the same time, it's the positive side is also there at the same time. So how are brands balancing the integration of AI technologies while maintaining a focus on creativity and compelling ideas? Ashish, will start with you.
All right. So I think earlier Rashmi had also mentioned that AI is a very fantastic tool where you want to kind of generate possible scenarios, come up with options of what you can do, etc. But you also have to keep in mind that the human mind is a fantastic parallel processing tool, which means that while you can give a linear task to an AI and say, just go straight down this path and give me the specific results that I'm looking for, and let's say take an example of give me options for generating headlines. An AI can give you as many headlines as you want, but no AI will ever be able to tell you that don't use headline number 1 because there is, let's say, a sensitivity concern. This one might offend somebody. That one is kind of referencing something which is very out of sync or out of date for the audience you're going for. Being able to get into these level of nuances requires somebody to kind of have a creative, original approach towards the evaluation and the prioritization of the output.
Yeah, and I thank God for that.
Which is why a lot of everybody's worried about that AI is going to take away my job. Yes, it will take away your job if you don't evolve yourself to the level where you are smarter than the AI and you can then be the supervisor of that AI. So while the AI is going to do all the grunt work, you have to be the one who's sitting on top and then choosing, okay, this is the result which works. If you're just going to say AI will do everything and just blindly take whatever output is coming out, then yes, you will be out of a job.
Rightly said there. So, Amit.
Same question or?
Same question, yeah. I mean, if you just would like to add something to what Ashish said.
No, I think it's completely something that I agree with what Ashish spoke about, because I mentioned the fact that there are so many products, like in terms of the SKUs today. So what we do that, as a part of marketing strategy, when I'm going mass media, I think that's when I talk the language of the brand, okay? So when you think of, say, Syska LED, you think of saving power, etc., because those are the things that we have been talking about, right? But cut to when you go digital, I think that's where we start talking the language of product, right? And I think because that's a space wherein you are able to cull out some time, right from your short form content to long form content at least, and say, "Acha, mujhe malum hai Amit kya bech raha hai." But when you go mass media, maybe 10-15 seconds max you have as a story. So I think we are using a lot of AI, I would say, compared to, so in the space where it is about execution, when it is about product, because I know it's not going to go wrong. I can rely on AI, because what you feed in is what comes out, right? Typically, that's the whole funda, I guess, So I think what we are feeding AI is also the fact that there's a lot of product knowledge which comes out and pretty much safe, right? But when it is about brand, which Ashish spoke about, right? Because somebody needs to sit and figure out that whether it is really the right thing or not. I think that's a call that we take internally. So वहाँ पे artificial नहीं, real intelligence ही चलता है.
Vineeth, do you agree?
No, I completely agree with what Ashish, Amit, both of them are saying. I think I just want to bring what they're saying to life with an example, recent example. So about the human X factor, which AI cannot bring today. So we were, recently we were developing a new campaign for our whole wheat flour brand, Fortune Chakki Atta. So the campaign thought was that रोटी कमाना बड़ी मेहनत का काम है, लेकिन कम से कम रोटी बनाना आसान हो. So some of you may have seen it. The campaign has just gone live a few days ago. So it's basically about दो वक्त की रोटी कमाना, the trials and tribulations of earning your daily bread. We all know about that. But at least if you have a good quality atta, absorbs more water, and it is easy to knead. So मेहनत कम लगती है. So we, with a lot of AI help, we did the concept cards initially, and we kind of got some feedback on the concepts. We did the storyboards, we tested them through whatever link and whatever ad testing protocols are there. The campaign went on air, and it's been received quite well. But the one feedback that I'm receiving from a lot of people about one sequence in the ad that is sticking with people is not the regular stuff. There's a police lady on beat who's on her evening beat, and it's a tough job, and she and her husband ride back home, and the kid is waiting and stuff like that. And then the ease of kneading sequence and all that. But the one sequence in it is something that the creative director put in, something that the director believed in as well. And it's just as the lady is kneading, background mein husband hai. Husband, it's a hazy, diffused image of the husband. He seems to be doing he's probably washing some vessels or putting some vessels. You don't really see it. It's just there in the background. Because the creative team felt that this is a nice touch. We're not very directly talking about equality and share the load and all that. But let him be there in the kitchen, kahin piche kone mein. And now the feedback that we're receiving, I think that is what that diffused image of a husband in the back of the kitchen, apparently helping out the wife in some way, is something that people are receiving, are really seems to be touching people's hearts. So this is not part of the standard high points of the story. It's just something that human beings with a lot of emotional intelligence, the people who created the director and the creative agency, decided to put in as a touch. So I don't think that kind of stuff would have come out through generative AI as of today. It's like, it's coming out of a human being's heart. And
straight from the heart.
Yeah.
अगर आपने हस्बैंड को पीछे नहीं रखा होता बैकग्राउंड में, आई कैन टेल इट वुड हैव बीन रियली डिफिकल्ट. यू वुड हैव टू डील विद डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस पोस्ट दैट. या सो okay, so I completely, I think all of you kind of made the same point, that it's very important that AI can give us the options, but then in the end it's up to us to pick the best one and kind of make it real, bring it to life. So from there, we'll go to the next question, that how are companies or your brand per se approaching data privacy concerns when utilizing AI for targeted advertising? Ashish.
All right, so let me scare you a little now, because so far we've been talking when AI comes, then these are the things that we need to be concerned about. But we are forgetting that this has already happened. It's happened a couple of years ago. So there's this company, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Facebook. They have been basically collecting your data for years, all the data that you have been putting in. They have been using that to essentially build a profile of you and identify what are the things that you like, what are the things that engage you, what are the things that interest you, even what are the things that infuriate you, which makes you spend more time engaging with them. Somebody you see a post that you don't like, you will spend more time responding to that post, downvoting that post, putting angry comments, etc. What this has done is, it's created an echo chamber in which you are existing, and given that you are consuming so much of your media, your knowledge about the world coming from this one source, and this one source is now choosing what to show to you basis one very simple metric: how do I make sure that this person spends as much time as possible on my platform? It has nothing to do with what's good for you. It has nothing to do with what's good for your society or your country. It just wants you to spend more time, which means it will give you content which will make you spend more time regardless of what impact that has. And what has the impact been from that? You have the US essentially on the brink of civil war. You have huge amount of divisions kind of coming up in society. You have this whole culture of cancel culture, and I don't want to kind of tolerate anything which disrupts the way I'm used to thinking. There is no sense of being able to tolerate any differing points of view. These are very real dangers, and they're impacting society, and this is something which has already been happening, because the algorithm that data decided what you should see and what media you should consume is an AI which has been around for a while. So I think we also have to be a little cognizant and be aware that sometimes AI is influencing us and our lives in very, very strong, large ways, and we may not even have been aware of it. So I'll leave it just at one point. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff we can talk about in terms of consent and protection of data, etc. But I'll pause. I'll stop here.
Vineeth, would you like to add?
No, I really don't have the answers to these two big questions. One is data security, and the other is intellectual property. I mean, both of these, like for example, on the question of intellectual property, there is all this talk about the way the AI models are trained. The methodologies of training and what has gone into training, the data that has gone into training, the process of training has to be made public. It has to be something that is audited by some statutory body, etc. So that there are a lot of challenges there. I mean, there have been instances of image creation softwares actually coming up with image creation, generative AI tools coming up with images where the watermark of the stock image provider is still there. So obviously, I mean, a lot of it is learned and inspired through artist-created work. And the issue of privacy of data, I think our response to this has been that we have the best in the country guiding us on that, because we are not technically equipped on both these questions. So we have a strong IP team who's guiding us on this. As of now, like I said, we're not using it for any customer-facing creative. We are using it purely for brainstorming and for prototyping and rapid prototyping and visualization and stuff like that. And we're also using it internally. So as long as it is AI-created, AI-generated stuff is used for an internal audience, that's fine. But nothing goes external till the time we are clear about the intellectual property issues. And similarly, we have one of India's leading leaders in the field guiding us on the data security part as well. So what we are doing as of now is using standalone solutions. For example, things that are helping us query better our marketing databases like retail audit databases or household panel databases or television delivery databases. So we are using solutions that are island databases. You know, I think they've learned from outside, and the level of learning is there, is where it stands, and then we are using it internally without them really talking to the world at large. And we have some applications that we're working on, for example, a customer complaint management system, etc., where we feel that the secrecy in the data is not that big. It's something that if there are issues in our products, we are happy to acknowledge them and to work on improving them. So it's about selectively choosing where you deploy the AI solutions and being guided by the experts. And we'll take baby steps until there's larger clarity on these issues. You know.
Right. Privacy of data is something that is a major cause of concern, but a lot has been happening, you know, to kind of tackle the issue. So, let's talk about the trends and that you foresee in the intersection of AI and traditional advertising, Amit.
See, I think there are many things, which AI is challenging traditional marketers with, as we all heard from last 40-45 good minutes. That one thing that really excites me is the fact that maybe I'm saying that as a traditional marketer, we have the tendency to go a little myopic, because of the fact that, we have been very, very high in terms of demographic segmentation, etc., because it's about discovering that customer at the right time, at the right place, and most importantly, with the right mindset, right? So I'll give you an example that today, while we are known for LED products, but we are also selling grooming solutions, right? Now, within that grooming solutions bouquet, we have all kinds of products, right? From your trimmers and shavers and dryers, curlers, and a lot of things, right? Now, because AI is in my life today, I'm able to figure out that it's not only the typical generic statement, which people come and ask, target audience kya hai? And then you always rattle it off like, 18 to 24, Gen Z and all that crap, right? And I think that doesn't work, because are you having the right mindset to look good? Now, you will be like really surprised that if I had gone only mass media, to mere ad mein you would have seen those youngsters dancing, grooving and giving them an amazing makeover, right? And you're like, हाँ बड़ा अच्छा काम करता है इसका trimmer तो. But today, when I am in the digital space trying to connect my brand with the right mindset, I know that there are people, which Vineeth and Ashish also mentioned that, who are looking for grooming solutions, right? So there are a lot of uncle G's also, right? जिनको बहुत अच्छा दिखना होता है, but then बेचारे वो बोल नहीं पा रहे हैं because सारा ad में तो, you have those, young models, right? So I think I'm also able to tap these kind of mindsets, which are, obviously about looking good, irrespective of what age they are, representing. There are a lot of people I'm able to target, who are in the space of performing arts, music, travel, etc. But they have that innate, aspiration to look good. So I think I'm in the situation to discover a lot many amazing personas basis AI, जो पहले मैं नहीं कर पा रहा था. So I think that really, ups the entire game of marketing in terms of not only the right visibility but also obviously about revenue, right? Because ultimately सामने वाला यही पूछेगा performance क्या किया आपने. So I think this is one such small example I wanted to put across that. It's up to us as to how you want to use the technology and make some sense out of it.
That's such a beautiful point made, Amit. Ashish.
I'll just add a very quick point. I think going forward, there's going to be a lot more choice in terms of the kind of data that are inputs that you can use and the kind of outputs where you can apply this. So, for example, you could use, for example, let's say Google knows exactly where all the places that you've been traveling to if you're using Google Maps. So it knows where you live, it knows where you work, it knows where you try to kind of go to, etc. In terms of where you can kind of apply data, you're going to have a lot more choice in terms of AR-enabled devices, smart billboards that can change the messaging basis, what the weather is, the kind of smart displays that you can have in stores that let you try on stuff and recommend stuff before you buy it. So I think there's going to be it's going to be a very interesting future. There's going to be a lot more choice of what you can do beyond just ads on a print or a screen or a phone. I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Vineeth?
You're asking about traditional media, how it can be kind of enabled or bolstered with the generative AI.
Correct.
So, some examples that we were I was just discussing this with some people a few days ago, drawing correlations between apparently unconnected things. For example, weather and sales. So you have your entire sales database, which you think is impacted by factors like price and GRPs and advertising and competitor intensity and competitor pricing and stuff like that. But there are sometimes even stronger factors that correlate with your sales that you don't look at normally. For example, let's say बारिश हो रही है तो पकोड़ा का सीजन चालू हो जाता है तो बेसन बिकता है और इट कुड बी दैट मैच टाइट है तो स्नैकिंग ज़्यादा हो रहा है सो हाउ टाइट एन IPL मैचेस or how tight a World Cup matches, or how many days it has been raining continuously. So there are these apparently unconnected factors that that once the system knows your sales pattern, it can kind of analyze these seemingly unconnected things, and you can even in real time or as close to real time as possible, your media spends can be calibrated. जहाँ बारिश 3 दिन से ज़्यादा से हो रही है वहाँ पे आपके बेसन के एड स्पॉट्स ज़्यादा दिखें टेलीविजन
Really like your examples, Vineeth.
Sorry?
I really like your examples. They are so relatable. I'm already there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it could also be things like see, sometimes some things are counterintuitive. Like competition advertise कर रहा है तो हो सकता है आपका सेल बढ़ रहा हो. It's possible that the competition ad is not very strongly branded. It is only promoting the category. लोगों को category याद आ रहा है लेकिन brand याद नहीं है. तो maybe you will benefit from this. So these are not analysis we normally do. So if your lake of data has all this, whether it has शादी का season है, it has things like competition ad spends, GRPs by markets, then it can tell you what things are correlated. And then, of course, in real time, you can, on digital, in real time, you can hike your, if the match scores are tight, you can have the chips manufacturers can have their that's the time to be visible, and that's the time to trigger a purchase in real time on e-commerce or whatever. So I think all these synergistic possibilities are there between, as salespeople, as sales and marketing people who spend a lot of time, sometimes that there are unconnected factors. You are very surprised, अच्छा इससे हो रहा है sale बढ़ रहा है, competition add कर रहा है हमारा sale बढ़ रहा है, So these kinds of things are I think there is a lot of potential in this, because like they say, sales is a very chaotic system. You don't know what is driving it, and I feel all these kinds of great possibilities exist at the intersection of traditional media and generative AI.
Thank you, Vineeth. This was the last question of the session. Anybody wants to ask something from the audience? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Devashish. I have a simple question. Do you think, listening to all these discussions, do you think data science department and IT department will become a very integral part for marketing people in the future? And if yes, how do you think they will have to evolve to help marketing work better?
So I think they'll not just need to work closely together, they'll have to actually be a single department. IT, you can consider, is it like actually an evolved IT, or is it your basic support IT? Is their job only to make sure that your laptop is working and the printer is connected and the Wi-Fi is working? Or are they actually working with you as part of a system, setting up an entire MarTech stack which uses data, which uses creative inputs, which uses tools that are used across the department? If you're going with that direction, then yes, then there has to be very, very close working together. If your job is only tech support, then yeah, you can have a couple of people in one room separately, but you have to have a separate enterprise IT department working with your marketing.
Okay.
Yes, right here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone present here, part of this beautiful conference. My name is Abhishek. I'm part of Bright Outdoor Media Limited. So my question to the esteemed panel out here is that while AI has taken the real center stage, but we still see Google, Facebook, and WhatsApp of the world, they are still coming to us, the outdoor companies, and they are advertising through outdoor panels. So traditional media is still thriving. So do you also agree, from your brand point of view, do you continue to invest in traditional media, and do you see the traditional media is still thriving in the age of AI? That's my question to you.
Vineeth, would you like to take the question?
Yeah. So I think, like I was saying a little while earlier, I think a lot of marketers are starting to think more micro-geography than spray and pray. Like we were discussing a little bit earlier about the mass media television advertising thing and spillover nahi hona chahiye and all that. Now I think a lot of, at least we are starting to think more at micro-geography level. And when you start thinking at micro-geography level, like when you start thinking at city level, then you have to start thinking what will complement your sharp-focused, geo-targeted, demographic, psychographic, usage-targeted digital advertising or digital content or influencer activity or whatever, an e-commerce activity which is again targeted to a geography. What traditional medium will complement that best? So it cannot be television. At least it cannot be linear television. It cannot be. It probably can be connected TV, but not linear television. So what else can? So I think then suddenly outdoor, cinema, these kinds of things, just plain old-fashioned dealer boards, lit dealer boards, glow sign boards as they call them, metro branding, So these kinds of things I think are becoming more and more relevant when you're thinking of geography-specific, city-specific targeting. So I think we at least for, like I was saying earlier, like in our premium product offerings, we are moving away from pan-India spray and pray model to geography focused, and that's when I think many of the legacy traditional media which complement that effort, and therefore you can target them so much better. Even if it's rural, if you're focusing on, let's say 1 lakh to 5 lakh population towns in Chhattisgarh, single screen cinemas, for example, become a very potent medium. There are brands that are built only through cinema. I mean, every time you go to watch a movie, you would have seen that particular brand ka ad. So it's got built only through that medium. I think another approach that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about nowadays is there used to be this thing about 360 and multimedia and all that. Multiple touch points, as many different touch points, let the consumer see you in multiple touch points. But now, with the media fragmentation, etc., I think another approach that I think a lot of people are talking about is choose one touch point and just dominate it, like with an 80% share of voice. Rather than having like 10% share of voice across all mediums. Choose one and just dominate it. So your consumer, if you think of all these different media touch points as tunnels through which your consumer walks. He walks through hoarding tunnel, he walks through television tunnel, he walks through social media tunnel, he walks through cinema tunnel, he walks through airport lounge tunnel. So he walks through all these tunnels. Rather than having 10% of the share of voice or share of space in each of these tunnels, choose one tunnel that he walks through and just dominate it, like 80%, as close to 100% as you can. It will be far less expensive than doing 20% or 10% everywhere, but at the same time it will be unmissable. So he will remember it, अच्छा ये cinema वाला brand है, या वो airline में free sample देने वाला brand है, you know. So I think some of these trends are the ones that I think are strongly supporting resurgence of some forms of localized traditional media.
I just want to quickly add one, pointer to what Vineeth spoke about. I think we have like really spoken a lot about as to how mass media or traditional marketing, has been adapted gradually over a period of time because of the fact that, we want to, move forward and, be more sort of responsible in what we are spending on marketing, right? I don't know how many of you have realized that from last, I think 2 years or so, I think I'm witnessing the application of QR codes very, very heavily, even if you're looking at a print media or an outdoor. So much so that I was out for a market visit in one of those Gaon Dehat, and there they don't have, those fancy billboards, etc., etc. So what they go for is a wall painting, okay? I don't know how many of you have realized. Now the wall painting technology has become so amazing that they're able to produce a QR code on the damn thing, and people are actually standing and trying to figure out कि अच्छा ये कैसे काम करता है. I think that's where you start onboarding your consumer from a very low-hanging, lame media, channel onto something which is very, very interactive, which is your digital space, right? So I think it's just a matter of time. I think how we are going to, witness a lot more magic because of the fact that we are becoming artificial intelligent.
Yeah, thank you so much.
One question. There is a minute to that question, if we can take that. I know we're running short of time, but he's been waiting.
Just one last. I was just going to say that.
One last question. Yeah.
This is the last question, and
sure.
Okay.
So, just when we talk about data, yes, there's a lot of data floating around. Now, I am a account planner strategist from advertising. So there's a lot of consumer research that happens where you get much deeper insights. For example, we did something on kids which made us understand the kind of regimented life that they lead. And we applied that to a Britannia biscuit with the proposition fun in the middle. So do you think AI can ever replicate that in-depth consumer research which gives those kind of insights? Because here we are not just talking about data, but we are talking about maybe a much deeper human understanding. So I'm just grappling with that question.
So with consumer research, there's two types of things which you might be asking. One is like you have a hypothesis in mind and you're looking for data to support that.
Right.
Or it's an open-ended data gathering exercise where you just want to know what are the data points that exist.
Correct.
If you're gathering open-ended data, then you've got a data bank which you can use AI now to process and try to identify what are the patterns, which a human researcher may not be able to pick up, or he will take longer. If you already have a hypothesis in place, then that means the decision of what to look for has already been made. Maybe it was done by AI, maybe it was done by a human. So in that case, you're not going to need an AI to do analysis because you're just looking for proof, is this true or not? If it's not true, then maybe you need to go back to the AI and figure out what else we can look for. But yeah, I mean, you definitely still will need to do research because it's going to act as the source of the data that's coming to you that you can then analyze with AI or humans.
Because what I meant is spending a whole day with a consumer and something just strikes you that, wow, I never expected this. That I don't know whether AI can ever come up with
Absolutely.
Some kind of
completely agree. That is why the
my
human
personal experience.
the
I think
human
if
mind
we-
as
Sorry, you were answering. No,
that's
go
why the
ahead.
human mind is superior. So
Can I just add? I'll take a minute.
Sure.
So you're absolutely right. Like we were discussing a little bit earlier in communication development, some nuances that come from the heart, AI cannot. Like we were talking about that example of Roti Ki Mehnat commercial and that husband in the background, hazy husband, who was really the one that touched the hearts of a lot of women. Similarly, in the case of market research, consumer research as well, there are these aha moments, which are the ones that you're talking about. Like I was in Vijayawada the other day and talking to a homemaker who's bulk of our TG, and everything is great, and husband's doing well in his career, and he's earning very well, and children are doing very well in school, and very happy family, and all that. And then I asked her, so it's great. I mean, life is wonderful. So is this what you'd want for your daughter as well? She said, no way. This is not what I want for my daughter. I do not want her to ask, to be dependent on anybody for money. I don't want her to ask anybody for money. That insight, I mean, it would not have come out. Everything on the surface is great, but when you probe a little, you see there's a crack. What you see at the surface, there is a deep angst about being financially dependent on somebody. And this is like small town, as a consumer classification, C or D consumer talking about this. So these kinds of nuances, that aha moment when you say everything seemed perfectly on the surface, but then I have unearthed something. This is like, wow, I didn't know. This is what she was feeling. Those kinds of things, just like AI is not, generative AI cannot produce that thing that touches your heart in a television commercial. Generative AI cannot get out that nuance today. It needs a human being. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Vineeth. I think if we take any more question, we'll have to skip the lunch break. If you guys are not hungry, then we can do that. Yeah, so with this, we'll have to wrap up the session. And I really want to thank all of you for your valuable inputs. And it was wonderful having all three of you here today with us. Thank you so much.